Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, Drinks with Dave. And today, it's kind of exciting because we're gonna make a Boulevardier. Mostly because I haven't made this drink yet, but also because I wanted to do something that was relatively simple and works with the season. I mean, it's getting kind of crappy outside, and we are heading into that brown liquor time of the year. So this is a whiskey drink that I think everybody should have in their arsenal. So we're gonna go over some of the history and we're gonna make the cocktail. So let's just dive into it. So I guess we'll start with the name, Boulevardier. What does it mean? Where did it come from? And the answer is that a Boulevardier is a French term for a wealthy socialite, or as I like to call, a man about town. Now the drink first appeared in print in France in 1927 in a book called Barflies and Cocktails, written by the owner and operator of Harry's New York Bar in Paris. Interestingly, the Boulevardier was not actually mentioned in the main recipe portion of that book, but rather it was in a small essay included in the book that was written by another man named Arthur Moss. And in that essay about the drink, name credit was given to another gentleman who used to order this concoction from Harry at his bar. And that man's name was Erskine Gwynn. And Erskine was an expat and a bit of a man about town himself, but more importantly, he founded the magazine The Boulevardier, which is how this drink got its name. And one more thing about this drink that's kind of worth noting is that it wasn't a terribly popular drink. It didn't really take off. In fact, it didn't appear really anywhere else in print for nearly 80 years. It kind of just disappeared into obscurity. And it wasn't until the craft cocktail renaissance of the late 2000s that this drink had its sort of rebirth. And I'm glad, because it's actually a really great drink. So let's talk about what goes into it. To make the Boulevardier, this is a relatively simple drink, we're gonna need whiskey, Campari, sweet vermouth, and an orange. Now for the whiskey, you've got options, but I'm going with a bourbon today. Usually these are made with bourbon. You could make it with a rye. Technically that would be called an Old Pal, but you do you, whatever you want. I'm going with Elija Craig small batch. This is a higher proof bourbon. It's got some bite, a little bit of spice to it, and I think it holds up well against the other ingredients. You could pretty much use any whiskey that you want. The bitter element in the cocktail is the Campari. There's lots of other bitter Italian liqueurs that could be used, but if you're gonna go with a Boulevardier, use Campari. You try to use something else, it's not going to be the same drink. And finally, for the sweet vermouth, I'm using Cocchi Vermouth di Torino. This is an Italian sweet vermouth that has a nice, robust, sort of fruity flavor profile, and it's really just a go-to for me. I like to use it in Negronis, I like to use it in Manhattans, and obviously it works really well in Boulevardiers. You might notice it's got a little condensation on it, and that is because I always keep my sweet vermouth in the fridge. And lastly, the orange. This is basically just for a garnish. We're also going to express a little bit of that orange oil over the top of the drink. Now, since this drink is all alcohol, we are not going to be shaking a thing. We're going to be needing our mixing glass. And to that, we're just going to start by adding all of our ingredients. So we'll begin with our whiskey, and we'll add 1.5 ounces of our bourbon. And then we're going to add our bitter agent. And we're gonna add 3/4 of an ounce of Campari. We'll grab our Cocchi, and we'll add 3/4 of an ounce of sweet vermouth. This is such an easy cocktail to make. It needs to be in your repertoire. Once all of your ingredients are in there, we'll just add some ice to the mixing glass. And then we are going to give it a stir. And I'd say stir it for about 20 to 30 seconds. And I feel like that is nice and diluted. Okay, so the Boulevardier can be served over ice or up. I like to serve it in a coupe glass, just like this. And I always double strain the cocktail just to make sure there are no little ice shards or anything in there. And don't worry about the glass being frozen, because the ingredients are definitely gonna warm you up. And the garnish for a Boulevardier is usually an orange peel, so I like to cut a nice big swath of orange. and then express a little oil over the drink, around the rim, and then just drop it right in. And that is a Boulevardier. Super simple, easy, classic drink, like 100 years old, and more popular than ever. Yep. You know what? I don't usually like drinks with a lot of Campari in them, and this is one of those cocktails that I don't mind. You definitely get the sweetness from the vermouth, and there's some sort of magic that happens with the bourbon and the Campari where it takes out whatever it is that I usually don't like. It does have that slight sharpness at the end, but it also has like this warming sort of complex richness that you don't get with the Negroni. The orange, you gotta get that orange oil on there, and that really ties, everything together because the orange goes with the bourbon and goes with the Campari. I would give the Boulevardier an 8.3. And that's pretty good for a cocktail that is, so heavy with Campari. If you like to mix things up, if you like to use a different kind of a whiskey, or you've got a vermouth that you prefer in your Boulevardiers, go ahead and let me know down in the comments below. And while you're down there, don't forget to do all of the other YouTube-y things like subscribe to my channel or hit the notification bell. Anyway, that is it. That is the Boulevardier, another classic whiskey cocktail, out the door and done. So I am now on to the next drink, and until next time, cheers. Hello, welcome back to my channel, Drinks with Dave, and today we're gonna make... Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. Hey, what's up everybody? Are we ready? I'm ready. Let's do this.